Hi, I'm Rene from Martha and Me, and today I'm going to show you how to crochet this quick and easy napkin ring. And I've selected white yarn for my napkin ring because I want it to coordinate with the black and white buffalo plaid that I'm using for my table theme. But today I'm going to show you how to use this more neutral yarn. It's the same size yarn and it'll be the same instructions. So just pick the yarn color of your choice and make your beautiful tablescape with this. So to begin with, you'll need 10 yards of whichever yarn you choose. And then you will need a crochet hook keyed to that size yarn. And by reading the label on this yarn, I can see that I need a 5mm crochet hook, which is what I'm going to be using. You also need a scissor. You'll need a stitch marker, and you'll need a needle with a large eye and a blunt tip. Now I'm going to assume for the purposes of this tutorial that you already know how to hold your yarn and to hold your hook. But if you don't, I'm going to put a link in the description below for a video that'll show you how to do that. So let's get started. Start with a slip knot. And we're going to crochet a chain of 20 stitches. And I used 20 stitches because my napkin was a little bulky. So you might want to experiment and maybe you'll only need 15 chains. But we're going to put that into a circle, and that circle should go easily, but not too tightly, around your napkin. So to do a chain stitch, we have our slip knot, and we take our crochet hook and point the shaft down toward our palm of our hand. And then you push it back toward those 3 fingers holding the yarn there, and you pull it up. And what you've done there is to make a yarn over. And see how easy it is then to pull that hook and pull that yarn through that loop. And you have now done a chain stitch. And we're going to keep on doing this. Push your crochet hook down, push it away from you, pull it up, and pull that yarn through. And you just keep doing that. Oops, I lost it there. There's no problem. You just go back and get it. And I've got 3. Down, back, up, pull through. If you notice, I reposition my hand under the crochet hook. I want to pinch lightly the join of the loop, the crochet hook, and the yarn that's going over my other hand. So I go down, back, up, and pull through. And then I reposition my hand. Down, back, up, and pull through. And reposition my hand. Down, back, up, and pull through. Now this is as good a time as any because I have been talking and not counting. And so how many stitches have I done? I don't know. Let's go and look. You will notice that not counting this loop on your hook, you will see a bunch of V's down below. Those are the tops of all of those stitches you have made. And you can easily find out how many stitches you've made by counting those V's. So, not counting this loop, here's a V, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, and number 7. I have crocheted 7 stitches. Let's complete our 20. I now have 20 stitches on my hook, and I can go back and count those if I want and make sure that I have 20. This project is not so precise, so that's not as necessary, but in many, many projects, you'll need to know exactly how many stitches. So we've got this long chain. You've learned to do the chain stitch, and we want to now make a circle. We'll start our napkin ring with a circle. So making sure your chain is flat and it's not twisted, I pick both ends up and I'll put my hook through the very first stitch, not the knot for my slip knot, but the very first stitch, and I will do yarn over, pull through here and pull through here, and that is a slip stitch. We didn't make an extra stitch, we just joined. And again, making sure that my project is flat, I'm going to now do one chain stitch. One chain stitch. And then in every single chain around here, 20 times, 20 chains, I am going to do a single crochet. And to do a single crochet, you put your hook into the chain stitch, you yarn over, pull through, and look, I've got 2 loops on my hook. And now I yarn over again and pull through both of those at the same time. And I've done my very first single crochet. Now I'll go into my next chain stitch, pull through again, 2 loops on my hook, yarn over and pull through both, and that's my second. Now let's go through all the rest of these chains. The first row is always the hardest because you're only working in one, you don't have much to hold on to. You're only working in one thin row of chain stitches. But just persevere and it gets easier. Again, go into the stitch, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through both, and that's your single crochet. I'm going to finish this row. Pull out more yarn. Now I have come all the way around, and what I should have done was to put a stitch marker in the very first stitch I did. Luckily for us, it's very obvious that I'm not looking at the next stitch as it is not a chain stitch. It is my single crochet, so I know which one to go into. But we'll be smarter this go round, and I'll put a stitch marker in and show you how we should be doing it. So I'm all the way around, and I will slip stitch to join this row to this row. slip stitch into my very first stitch. It's easy to see in this case because it is much bigger than a chain row. And remember slip stitch, we just pull it through that stitch and pull it through this. So now I have my first row and it was single crochet. So the second row is going to be double crochet. Look what you're learning here. You've learned the chain stitch, you've learned the single crochet, and now we're going to learn the double crochet. So to set up for the double crochet, we chain 2. Here's the first chain, and here's your second chain. And that actually serves as a double crochet. It's much taller. So I will go into the next stitch, but before I do that, I do yarn over. And that's what differentiates double crochet from single crochet. So now I have the loop that's on my hook and I have a yarn over. Now I will go into that last row, that single crochet stitch. And now I have 3 loops on my hook. So I yarn over and I pull through 2 and I yarn over and pull through 2. And I've done my first row. So let me put I want to put a stitch marker to mark my first stitch in that row, that round. And you see how I did that? Remember, we do the V's. Here's my 2 chains, but here's the top of my real double crochet, and I will put under both legs of that V, I will slip a stitch marker in. And we call each one of those parts of the V, we call those legs. So let's just proceed around, yarn over, because that's what differentiates the single crochet and the double crochet. And I'll go into my very next V, that's the top of that last row's single crochet. Here we go. I got my 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, and pull through 2. And let's just keep going. Yarn over, go into that stitch, pull through 2, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, yarn over, into the stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. Let's keep going. Now, I don't have any more single crochets to crochet in, and here I've marked my first double crochet. So we want to join the end of this row, and so we will go into that first stitch, yarn over, pull through, and pull through because we're slip stitching that together. We can take that off now because we know where we are. And this is the start, a nice start, of our napkin ring. Just a minute. Stop here. Our next row is going to be a double crochet again. So to start that row, we did 2 chains and we double crocheted into the next stitch right here, our little V's. Yarn over, oops. Now I've got my very first stitch, so I will put a stitch marker in it. And I'll just go around for the next 19 with double crochets. If you're ever wondering, do I put my crochet hook into this V or this V? Pull up on the last stitch you did and you can see that we're actually already in that very first V. So we want to go into the next unused V, and that'll be this one. It's not clear sometimes, and you have to just give a little tug on that and you'll be able to see the next unused V. And now I don't have any more V's to work into, and we're at the end of this row, so we will slip stitch the 2 ends together, and it's easily done, easily noticed, because I have put my magic stitch marker in there, and it works wonders. So we'll go ahead and just go into that stitch, pull through and pull through that one, and we have done a slip stitch. And we'll remove this marker because we don't need it any longer. Now we have a napkin ring that's this wide, and you could stop there if you wanted to. You could make it much wider. I'm going to make it one more row wider, and I'm going to finish this off with 1 row of single crochet. You could go several more rows of double. It depends on the look you want. But for the look I want, I'm going to just do 1 more row single crochet. Since I'm doing single crochet, I only need to do 1 chain to start off. And then go right back to single crochet, which I'll remind you is just put your hook into that stitch. Yarn over, pull through, and pull through 2. Directly in, yarn over, excuse me. Sorry. And I'm in that, okay. We'll go all the way around with single crochet. And now I've completed my round, and I'm going to start a chain stitch, and I'm just going to keep on pulling and use my scissors to cut off a nice healthy tail here, and continue pulling all the way through, and pull tight, and that makes a knot. So we have completed, except for the finishing off, a napkin ring. You see how quickly that is made? You can whip up a whole dinner party's napkin rings in just a little bit of time. But we don't want these little strings here, these little tails we call them. So this is where we're going to use our needle with the large eye and the blunt tip. And we're going to weave in, we call it weaving in, those tails. So thread your needle. This is why we love the large eye. I've left a pretty long tail here. We're not going to need all that. And the purpose of this is not only to finish off and make it look pretty, but it's also to make sure this doesn't come unstitched. Now you're going to be handling these after a dinner party. You probably want to wash your napkin rings. People are going to be pulling them off of the napkin, and not necessarily very gently. So you want these nice and tight. So what I do is, and also to make sure it doesn't have this funny little bump on the top, is we're going to weave in and out of some of these stitches. We're going to go back, forth, and back, and that's going to make it really tight. But let's make sure we start off and smooth it down. So we're going to go in this direction so that we can kind of pull that knot out of the way. And this is our back side. Whichever side we decide to weave in and out of will be our back side. So that little knot won't really show. It'll be on the back side, but we also don't want it bumping up. So let's come down here into the closest stitch that's going in the direction we like. And let's go in and out. And it's easier if you go under the stitches and not through the yarn. But this particular type of yarn I've used is a little harder to do than some of them. But we're going to pull that first stitch and make sure our knot is kind of pulled down and out of the way. Not tight. We don't want to pucker everything up, but just down and out of the way. And now we'll keep on going in that same direction using the next stitches we come to. Just keep going in that same direction. And it's not a science. This is more of an art. And if you can go through 2 or 3 at a time, all the faster. Okay, I've come about 1 inch in one direction. Now let's turn around and go back. So I certainly don't want to go back under that stitch because then it'll unravel. So I'll go over the top of that one and under here and under here. See, it's going faster when I pick up a few stitches at a time, and under there. And then we'll go back in the other direction. And it'll be almost impossible, if not impossible, to pull this out. That's what we want. We want this in here securely. And now I've gone 3 directions. I've made sure it's not puckered up. And I'll take my scissors and I'll cut that off very close to that stitch, but do not cut that other stitch. And we do the same with this one. I won't waste your time on this video, but what we're going to have is this very pretty little napkin ring to go around your napkins, and it'll look lovely in your table setting.